I think the gist of that song is I'm just not going to take that crap anymore. That's Dylan, 7:35 the time, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Welcome to the Mornings with Ed show at 8 o'clock this morning. Chris Collette and Bradley Sladek coming in from Club Sport Aliso Viejo. Conversation with them. We have been talking about this subject for several years now at this point, and it seems that it's all coming together, and it's having to come together in the court system. The courts might move a little slowly, but eventually they get down to the nuts and bolts, the nitty-gritty of a case. Mo Honekar, local businessman, entrepreneur, had entered into what was a fraudulent deal given to him by a mom group, something called the mom group. They are the mob, basically. We have talked about it ad nauseum here. We've had Mo on several times, along with his attorney on a couple of occasions. And I'm going to say this. In always wanting to be fair and reach out to the other side, I haven't, from this particular case, from the Festival of Arts, have not even received a return email in 3 years about what's happened. Not even a return email of, no, we don't want to be, nothing. So here's what happened. The Festival of Arts tried to file an unlawful detainer suit against Mo Honekar for a property that he hasn't even had the keys to since the summer of 2023. I'll explain the full details here in just a moment. But essentially, once the courts gave him back possession and said, yes, you were wronged in this case, that happened in September of 2025, he hadn't had the keys. He hadn't had any access to that property. Yet, the Festival of Arts was expecting him to pay them rent, the lease, for January and February of 2026. When that didn't happen because he had no access to his property, they then filed an unlawful detainer suit against Mr. Honekar. So here we go with what the court found yesterday. The essential issue in an unlawful detainer action is the right to possession of the leased premises. And a landlord's primary obligation under a lease is to deliver possession to the tenant. They didn't do that. Festival of Arts at no time did that. Mr. Honekar did not have possession of that property, of the lease, since 2023. So the following facts, the court found that the following facts are undisputed. Festival of Arts entered into a sublease with Terra Laguna Beach, whose president and chief executive officer is Mo Honekar, for the restaurant building located on the festival grounds. That's Terra. On July 1st of 2023, Festival of Arts president David Perry executed the indemnification agreement with Mom California Invesco, under which Festival of Arts agreed not to interfere with Mom's access to the premises so that Mom could carry out Terra Laguna Beach's obligations under the sublease. That action was wrong. So Mom California occupied and operated the premises from approximately July 1st, 2023, until the bankruptcy proceedings in the spring of 2025. And remember, on that last day of June in 2023, the Mom Group just illegally took possession of Terra, moving out Terra employees, much like the mob you see in mob movies all the time where we're going to move this guy out of the casino. That's essentially what happened on the last day of June in 2023. With the help, under the observation of Festival of Arts security. During the 2025 summer season, a chief restructuring officer was appointed in the bankruptcy proceedings. They exercised control over Terra Laguna Beach. On October 20th, 2025, the Orange County Superior Court confirmed the partial final arbitration award in favor of Mr. Honeckar. And no later than December 16th, 2025, Festival of Arts knew that Mr. Honeckar was the lawful president and CEO of Terra Laguna Beach. They knew this. Although Mr. Honeckar didn't possess keys to the restaurant premises. He wasn't given access to those premises. Mr. Perry did not possess keys to the restaurant premises. I'm sorry, Mr. Perry and Festival of Arts Director of Security Operations both testified that the Festival of Arts did not possess keys to the restaurant. So only one entity had keys to the restaurant, and that would have been the mob that illegally moved Mr. Honeckar out in June of 2023. Mr. Honeckar testified that on June 30th, 2023, his restaurant manager informed him that representatives of the Mom Group were attempting to take control of the restaurant and that representatives of the Festival of Arts were present during that process, just standing there watching. The evidence establishes that the Mom Group, the mob, executed the indemnification agreement on June 30th, 2023, and the Festival of Arts executed the agreement the following day with the Mom Group. Mr. Perry testified that the Festival of Arts entered into an agreement in part to protect their interests. Mr. Perry acknowledged that the Festival of Arts never sought reimbursement from the Mom Group because its founder was incarcerated and in federal prison. And in his view, any recovery efforts would have been futile. So instead, they go after Mr. Honeckar for money without him having had possession of that. So the court doesn't find that Mr. Honeckar was obligated to restore possession through self-help. That's what the Festival of Arts wanted him to do. They wanted him to get his own locksmith and obtain the premises on his own, when in fact it is up to the landlord to hand you keys to the property. So the court didn't find that Mr. Honeckar was obligated to restore possession through self-help. Under settled landlord-tenant principles, the duty to deliver possession rests with the landlord. That obligation is particularly significant here because Festival of Arts knowingly permitted the Mom Group, to occupy and operate the premises pursuant to the indemnification agreement that they signed the day after Mr. Honeckar was moved out. Mr. Honeckar, likewise, by the way, I'll go back a little bit. Mr. Perry further testified that in August of 2025, Mr. Honeckar requested permission to resume operating the restaurant following the conclusion of those bankruptcy proceedings that he had won. Although no agreement was reached, Mr. Perry acknowledged that Mr. Honeckar clearly expressed his desire to resume operations. Mr. Honeckar likewise testified that he repeatedly sought access to the premises but was denied and unable to obtain possession. The evidence establishes that Mr. Honeckar has not had actual possession of the restaurant premises since June 30th, 2023. Festival of Arts was aware of that circumstance throughout the entire relevant period. And although Festival of Arts recognized Mr. Honeckar as Terra Laguna Beach's lawful president and CEO no later than December of 2025 and discussed the possibility of his resuming restaurant operations, it never restored possession of the premises to him. Now, the Festival of Arts also sought to establish that Mr. Honeckar had access to the property through the testimony of their security guy, Mr. Hackman. He testified that he observed Mr. Honeckar's daughter retrieving mail from the festival's mail room. The undisputed evidence demonstrates that Mr. Honeckar was deprived of actual possession beginning June 30th, that the festival never restored, and that access to a mail room is not the same thing as having access to the restaurant premises or keys to that. So they never restored possession despite subsequently recognizing his authority to operate Terra Laguna Beach. He consistently requested access to those premises, but was never provided that means to enter the locked restaurant. So the 3-day notice to pay rent for him that happened because of January and February, the 3-day notice to pay rent or quit demanded rent for January and February of 2026 or to surrender possession. At the time the notice was served, Festival of Arts knew that Mr. Honikar had not been restored to possession. Mr. Honikar had informed the Festival of Arts that he lacked access to those premises, requested that possession be restored, and sought assistance directly from Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry testified that Honikar could have retained a locksmith. However, evidence established that Mr. Honikar had been prevented from resuming restaurant operations way back in August of 2025, and that his employees were directed by festival security to leave the property. And they didn't possess keys to the restaurant. So, the court findings are this. The court rejects the plaintiff's contention. The plaintiff is the Festival of Arts. The court rejects the Festival of Arts' contention that Mr. Honikar bore the responsibility to regain possession through self-help. The landlord's obligation is to deliver possession, not to require the tenant to resort to litigation or unilateral action in order to obtain it. Having knowingly allowed a third party, the mom group, to assume possession of the premises, and having later recognized that Mr. Honikar is the lawful representative of the tenant, Festival of Arts was obligated to restore possession to him. Festival of Arts failed to do so. So because Festival of Arts did not restore possession of the leased premises, Mr. Honikar's obligation to pay rent for January and February did not arise. Accordingly, the 3-day notice to pay rent or quit demanded rent that was not legally due and therefore overstated the amount owed. The notice was invalid. So, Mr. Honikar is the prevailing party in this matter. The defendant, Terra Laguna Beach, is entitled to possession of the property, and this is probably the most important part of this. The defendant may file a motion for attorney's fees and costs as the prevailing party in this matter. And when you talk about costs, you're talking not just attorney's fees, you're talking over 3 years and counting of loss of revenue for restaurant operations. And more than that, even potential private event and function losses. To host a wedding at Terra, you could make 50 grand if you host a wedding there. You can make 35 grand on anniversary type of events. Events and the loss of revenue for the restaurant for over 3 years. So, coming down the pipe, again, Mr. Honikar, if you've known that he's won his last 12 cases in court regarding this issue across the board with other properties, including Hotel Laguna, the 4G offices, the Hive, and now Terra, that he doesn't go to court unless he's got all his ducks in order. So, I have a feeling that David Perry, the Festival of Arts, and the board and those associated with this case, they're going to be seeing some lawsuits happening down the pipe soon.